us tonight. And below freezing temperatures during the night and in the morning means that any kind of commute tomorrow morning can be extremely hazardous. We would advise people to stay off the road if at all possible. The good news is that temperatures are expected to climb above freezing tomorrow afternoon, that's Thursday afternoon, and continued warming through the weekend. So the storm should sweep through the state and then melt away eventually in the next few days. There is an impact with power outages that the snow has been so heavy that we have now seen a little over 30,000 homes and businesses without power, many of them in the Charlotte area and in central North Carolina counties. We've been in touch with the utilities. They are working hard to restore power to these areas. As of the time that I am speaking, at least 35 school systems across the state have already announced that they will be closed tomorrow. Most of them are in the Piedmont area. But we know that that number likely will increase through the evening. So it's important for you to stay tuned for information about your school's plans. The kids will do that for sure. And the adverse weather policy remains in effect for our state employees across North Carolina. For mandatory state employees, you should report to work tomorrow. Many of them perform essential job services during the storm. Non-mandatory employees should use their discretion if conditions are hazardous for driving. And all state employees should stay in close touch with their supervisors. As we have cautioned, this storm has caused many roads, bridges, and overpasses to become icy and wet. That's going to get worse through the evening. And road crews will work through the night in areas where it becomes too cold to plow effectively. They will put salt on the roads to get them ready to plow first thing Thursday morning. We have hundreds of trucks out there and lots of tons of salt, and Secretary Trogdon is going to give you some specific numbers on that. The state of emergency that was declared yesterday remains in effect until further notice as we deploy essential assets for storm response. There have not been any official requests for assistance from the counties. Our team is here. We expect some potential requests, particularly with stuck vehicles that counties have, but we're waiting for those requests. And as I've mentioned before, the abandoned vehicles left in the roadways will be inspected to ensure no one needs saving, and then they will be pushed to the shoulder of the road, and this is to clear the way. The National Guard remains ready to respond if called upon, and we do appreciate the good work of the Department of Transportation. So I'm going to recognize Secretary Jim Trogdon with the Department of Transportation to give you the update there. Secretary Trogdon.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon. Since 7 a.m. this morning, Department of Transportation crews have placed another 16,000 tons of salt. That was in addition to the 4,000 tons we placed overnight last night. We have 2,100 trucks out working today across the state, with the effort being primarily right now in those areas that have already received snow, while we're waiting for eastern North Carolina to receive theirs overnight and into tomorrow. Our focus will be, again, today and tomorrow on clearing the interstates and the major routes. From the western part of the state, we'll make much better progress there, and then moving toward the central, because the storm ended there and they've had at least a half a day now to work on there. So they're making really good progress on their interstates and major routes. We anticipate temperatures tomorrow will be very favorable, and we'll make great progress both here in the Triangle and in the Triad tomorrow. That concludes my update. Thank you.
Thanks very much, and once again, I'll emphasize we appreciate the crews that are doing the work out there, and you can make their job easier by staying off the road. We also want to hear from Colonel Glenn McNeil, the commander of the North Carolina Highway Patrol, to tell you a little bit about what they're doing. Colonel.
Thank you, Governor, and good evening. As snow accumulation increases on roadway surfaces, driving conditions continue to worsen. I just want to reiterate what the governor just said to everyone. If you don't have to be out on the roadways, then please don't. Throughout the course of the day, the Highway Patrol has responded to 1,578 collisions and 2,222 calls for services as a result of the winter storm. While many people have heeded the warning to stay home, others have placed themselves in harm's way by driving on these snow-covered roadways. We're asking everyone to please be mindful of the risk associated with driving overnight and into tomorrow morning. As previously stated, travel should not be made unless absolutely necessary. Motorists who venture out not only place themselves at risk, but also our first responders. Overnight black ice will be a factor across several portions of our state and throughout the early morning hours. We anticipate extremely dangerous driving conditions for the morning commute and stress the dangers of venturing out unnecessarily. Finally, please remember, do not call 911 or Star HP unless it is an emergency situation. Roadway conditions can be attained by visiting drivenc.org, and this concludes my brief. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Colonel. This has been quite a whiteout for our state. We want people to continue to remember the safety tips that we have reiterated, but it's important to say them again. If you have to go out, we're recommending people stay off the road, but if you have to go out, drive much slower, keep a lot of space between vehicles. Make sure that if for some reason you lose power in your home, don't be lighting grills inside, don't be turning on generators inside of your house. Make sure that you take safety precautions there. Check on your neighbors, particularly our seniors. Make sure that they are warm and that they have power. We want you to keep your pets out of the cold, and you can follow updates on Facebook and Twitter under NC Emergency and NCDOT. And we have the Ready NC app that you can download to get real-time road conditions. Also drivenc.gov. And we'll take any questions that you might have.
Governor, is there any talk of needing to move further resources from one part of the state to another part of the state, given that there are some parts that receive 8 to 9 or 10 inches and other parts got a trace of rain?
Yeah. I know that they are still waiting for snow to begin falling in eastern North Carolina and some of our coastal counties. But I'm going to let Secretary Trogdon address that because we know we want to get these roads cleared as quickly as we can to get people back to school and back to work. But there's a strategy to that. So Secretary Trogdon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's correct. So we had about 2 to 3 inches on average in western North Carolina. Crest at about 7 to 8 here especially in the northern Piedmont from Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and those northern counties. We're anticipating the probability of 2 to 3 inches in all of eastern North Carolina, with the exception of just a few counties. So if we have pretty much all of those blanketed, they will be clearing their own interstates and primary routes. Then as those are accomplished, as we get to secondaries and we can move resources around where counties have finished, we're going to do that, but it's too early for us to make that decision at this point. But when that time comes, we will be ready and able to move those resources to maximize our capabilities and efficiencies.
Yeah, I think this has been a slower moving storm than anticipated, so it's dumping more snow on us, and we've got to make sure those resources are where they're needed. Any other questions anybody would have? All right, thank you very much. We will probably do one more update in the morning. Thank you.